Hi guys, welcome or welcome back. Today I am going to be trying to finish every single book series I'm currently in the middle of. I've been wanting to film this reading vlog for a really long time. A lot of you would know that I'm currently in a fantasy hyperfixation, or since the beginning of the year I've really been getting more into fantasy series, also romance series. Definitely more of a translated fiction and literary fiction babe, and a lot of those books tend to be standalone. So although reading book series isn't new for me, I grew up reading book series. As an adult, and especially in 2025, I've been wanting to get more into fantasy book series, romance book series, just book series in general, and now I've kind of accumulated quite a few. So for today's vlog I thought it would be really fun to try and get through as many of them as I possibly can. I will quickly pop on the screen what my current series tracker is looking like. It is extremely simple because I'm not really in the middle of too many, but here are all of the book series that I am currently in the middle of. We definitely have an array of genres, and I am just going to try and read as many as I can in this video. First one that I am going to be reading, because I am currently reading it, is Heat of the Everflame by Pen Cole. I am currently reading it on my Kindle. I started this series, The Kindred's Curse saga, literally in February, I want to say, and I read the first two books. I was utterly obsessed with it. When I tell you it took over my life, I was very hesitant to go onto this one, which is the third book in the series, because the fourth book isn't even out, babe. I thought it was. Apparently might not be out until 2026. So I really wanted to space as much time as possible between the second book and the third book. However, please tell me why 2 days ago at midnight I was laying in bed and I was like, okay, I kind of want a fantasy book. Let's just read this one. I finally decided to get around to it. Due to the fact that I didn't binge read this entire series, I wanted a recap of the ending of the second book just to kind of refresh myself. No, babe, what do I do instead? I read the recap of the ending of the third book, which is the one I'm currently reading. I will say I was slightly devastated, but it could be worse. I think I only saw like two things that I can't imagine are that major to the ending, but I know they happen at the end, which was so frustrating. I feel like that's probably one of the most annoying things that can happen when you're a reader, like getting spoilers, but I literally have no one to blame but myself. But I am still excited to carry on reading it, and I am really enjoying it so far. I'm currently 30% of the way through, but this book is 1,000 pages and I'm on page 326, so I am quite a way through now. I am loving being back with these characters so much. If you've never heard about this series before, I know it kind of blew out fairly recently, so you probably have. We're essentially set in this fantasy world that was colonized by the gods, and then they have their offspring, the Descended, and the Descended and the mortals kind of live alongside each other, but they despise one another. There is a lot of political intrigue throughout the entire book. We follow a protagonist who is a healer, and she gets the opportunity to kind of go into the royal palace and heal all of the Descended. I feel as if that is all you should know if you're going to go into this series, because so much happens, and it definitely gets more political as the series goes on, which I'm really enjoying. I really do like that in a fantasy series, and it's just so good. I love the found family in it. I also love the romance element. It is so slow burn, like so slow burn. I'm so happy to be back with these characters. It has been my like reading before bed sort of book, and I've just wanted to kind of binge read it, but I wanted to make sure that I introed this vlog beforehand. So of course this is going to be the first book that we read. I don't know how long it's going to take me to read. Like I said, it is 1,000 pages, and as much as I could say obviously I could take my time with it because it is so long, they are just so fast paced and they are so quick to read, and I just love them so much. So I'm going to carry on reading this today. I'm so excited for this video to get some series finished, to kind of just improve my progress on some. I definitely have so many books that I want to try and get to in this video, and yeah, I'm just so excited to get reading, and I will update you when I have some more thoughts on Heat of the Everflame. Guys, it is a few days later. I have been reading a lot of Heat of the Everflame, so I thought I was due an update with you guys because I'm literally so obsessed with this book. I'm having the time of my life. I'm now 62% of the way through, which means that I'm on page 635. When I tell you that this does not feel like a 1,000 page book, like I am flying through this. I cannot believe that I've read over 600 pages. It feels like I've read literally about 200. I did also go into Waterstones today. I was not planning this. I saw the book in the shop, and it's the first time I've ever seen this physically, really, because I think it's actually just come out because they're being traditionally published, and I did buy it. Look at the size of that. I will say the physical copy is I think about 800. I'm so aware that I do not want to see like the last line. It's about 840-ish pages, which is obviously a lot shorter than the Kindle version, but I will say like the text is quite small on there. Just saw it in person and I want to collect all of the physical copies because they are so gorgeous. In a dream world, I would love all of the indie copies, but tell me why Depop and Vinted, everyone's selling them for like £80 a piece. It's crazy. So when I saw this, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna get the traditionally published ones, and it's just so beautiful and I can't wait to have all of them on my shelf. But obviously I've been reading a lot more of this. I'm giving you an update now because there's a high likelihood that I might just binge read the rest of it today. On my Kindle it's saying I've got 5 hours and 3 minutes left, so definitely quite doable. I don't know if I'm going to carry on reading it. I probably will carry on reading it on my Kindle, to be honest, even though I've now got this. I'm just adoring this series so much, and I actually think out of all of the books so far, this one is definitely my favourite currently. There is so much happening. It's definitely leaning more political than the other two books. I really like that in a fantasy series. I think it always allows such good development for just the plot in general, but also all of the characters, and especially our protagonist. It's so interesting seeing where she's currently at in this book and at this point in the series. Obviously I don't want to say anything if you've never read the series. I highly recommend that you do if you haven't. Initially starting it, I really wasn't sure if I would like it. I absolutely was not expecting to fall in love with it the way that I have, and I was so daunted going into this, obviously because of the sheer size, but it's so easy to read. The past like 30% in comparison to when I first updated you, so much had happened in that such small period of time. I literally was reading page after page after page and I was terrified, like actually terrified for what was going to go down. But I will say, especially when it comes to the romance subplot, it is still so slow burn, which is so crazy to say when it's the third book in a series. And I think if you like slow burn romances and you've been looking for a slow burn, I don't want to say romantasy, because as much as I've seen people say that this is a romantasy, I feel like the fantasy plot is a lot more focused on than the romance. And if you have been looking for a slow burn fantasy series, I literally cannot recommend this one enough. I'm terrified, quite frankly, to see how it's going to end. I will say, I know I mentioned, I think in my earlier clip, how I had seen like 2 things that happened towards the end. One has already kind of been revealed, which I wasn't expecting, and that's kind of given me reassurance. Do sense as if this is likely going to end on a cliffhanger, especially because I've seen so many people so eagerly awaiting the 4th book and so like literally begging for the 4th book that I'm like, there's gonna have to be a reason for that, babe, and I'm kind of scared of it. With that being said, I'm just loving it so much. I'm literally so obsessed with this series. I'm so happy that I'm finally getting around to this book. I do kind of wish I binge read it the second after, but just the fact that I'm reading it now makes me so happy. And if I'm being honest, I'm just completely obsessed with Pen Carl and this entire series. I'm gonna continue saying that. I feel like it's gonna be one of my favorite fantasy series that I probably read all year. But yeah, like I said, I'm about 63% of the way through. I'm gonna read a lot more tonight, so I will either give you an update tonight or tomorrow, depending on how much I read. I'm excited, I'm terrified. I just want to see what happens. Good morning guys. Last night I finally finished Heat of the Everflame, and I don't know how I'm going to talk about this without wanting to cry. Like, my eyes are already watering. I don't know what it is about this series that I fell so head over heels with, and it's completely taken over my life in the past few months. I feel like I've only dipped my toe into reading the most popular fantasy or romantasy or fantasy romance series, and this is obviously one in the past couple of years, or I think the past year, that kind of blew up. And in my personal opinion, it is so worth the hype. I am obsessed with this series. I love these characters so much. The found family in this, but simultaneously, if you're looking for a good fantasy romance that is incredibly slow burn and the payoff is through the roof, then please pick this up. I absolutely want to preface before I go into my actual thoughts with this book specifically. I know some people don't like the series because of the FMC. Don't get me wrong, she is so annoying sometimes. Like, she really doesn't make the best decisions, and decisions that kind of go against her morals. But for me personally, there are so many other scenes that really redeem that, and simultaneously I just love every other part of this book so much that I can kind of overlook it. But my thoughts with this book in particular, I cannot believe the ending. I literally was reading this at like midnight last night in the dark on my Kindle, and I shot up out of bed and I was like, shut the fuck up. Pen Cole, 4th book when? Please, like, I actually cannot believe, I don't know when the 2nd book came out, but what do you mean some people have been waiting months and even up to maybe a year for the 4th book? After reading this, I can't believe it. I want to say that I feel quite lucky that I've only just read this, and I already wish so bad that I could reread the entirety of the series already for the first time again. But in the same breath, I don't think we actually have a date for the 4th book yet, and I can't, what do I actually do with my life now? I need another fantasy series to become obsessed with, because I fear all of the ones that I'm currently in the middle of so far are not at all giving me the vibes that this one did, and I just need the 4th book now. Like, the cliffhanger, I also think in this book specifically, we saw so much more of the world and all of the different realms, and I absolutely love that element so much. There was so much information to digest. It definitely feels a lot more political than it did in the first book. However, I really like that. I really enjoy that in a fantasy romance. Just in terms of all of the characters and the side characters and the love interest, oh my god, I actually can't with this book. Like, I already want to reread it so bad. Enjoyed it so much, but simultaneously in many places it was also kind of painful. So in the end, I think I've rated it a 4.5. I actually haven't rated any book in this series a 5-star yet. This one is definitely the closest to a 5-star for me. Will I change my mind in a week? Like, potentially I could up it, but for now, The Morning After, it's definitely a 4.5. I'm so in love with the series. Like I said, like I'm always gonna say from now on, I really desperately need the 4th book, and I pray we get it before the end of this year. But yeah, I would highly recommend the series. I know that not everybody loves it because the female main character is a little bit annoying at times, but I can overlook that, and hopefully if you're into this sort of read, you could too. Now though, I don't actually know what book I'm gonna go on to next. I kind of want to read Wildside by Elsie Silver. Initially I was really toying whether or not I should read it for this vlog or read it at all anytime soon, because I kind of thought that it was the last book in this series. However, since then there was an announcement for another book called Wild Card. I believe that it's coming out in September this year, so it's not the last book. Wildside is not the last book. I think Wild Card is. Ever since then I've been dying to get my hands on it. I know I want to read it this month, so I think we might go on to that one. Like, starting a new Elsie Silver whilst it's sunny in a cafe on my Kindle is just the epitome of joy, so I think I'm gonna do that. I think we're gonna start Wildside. I'm so excited for it. I've seen quite mixed reviews about this book in comparison to the first 2 in the series. However, I'm really trying not to let that deter my expectation nor hopefully my enjoyment. All I know about this one is that I think the love interest and the single dad in Wildside is a wrestler. I actually have no idea. That's really intriguing to me. I don't know if I'm absolutely going to be obsessed with it, but I am really excited, and it's Elsie Silver, so I'm expecting to have a good time. Hi guys, I have been reading. I'm actually quite a bit of the way through Wildside by Elsie Silver now. I know I did tell you that this was the next one I was going to start. I am actually reading it on my Kindle, so let me see actually how far I'm through, because oh my god, I could not stop reading it this morning. I'm currently 46% of the way through, and it's saying I've got 2 hours and 14 minutes left. I am also thoroughly enjoying this. Initially, I think I did say I wasn't really sure how I was going to feel about it. I wasn't really sure how I would feel about the wrestling element, because the male love interest is a wrestler. I didn't think that I would honestly be able to take it all that serious. However, with that all being said, 46% of the way through, it really is not that big of a part of the story, and I'm just enjoying the tension. Oh my god guys, the tension between these characters. It does also have such an interesting premise. We are essentially following our FMC, whose sister very recently passed away. She had a 3-year-old son, and our female main character finds out that she is given custody in her will to Reese, who is the male love interest. Reese and the sister were housemates, and obviously our female main character is so confused as to why in her will she hasn't been given custody of Miles. She loves him so much. It's so clear that both Reese and Tabitha adore Milo so much, and it is evident that they are both willing to do whatever it takes to kind of have custody of him, to look after him, to make sure that he's having the best upbringing, especially now that his mum has passed away. And so that leads to a marriage of convenience. I actually don't think I've read ever, or I can't really think of any romance that I've read before that has the marriage of convenience trope, and I'm actually really enjoying it. I didn't even really realise that that was what the book was about. It does say it on the blurb, so it's not a spoiler, and I'm really liking it for that, and I just love the tension between them so much. It definitely felt like enemies at the beginning. Their banter, it was so clear that they kind of despised each other. Obviously it is quite a tricky situation, and I just think it's such an interesting premise, and it's opening up so much different discussion surrounding family, which we know I always love, and I'm finding that Elsie Silver is doing such a brilliant job of discussing all of that in this series, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it, which is making me so happy, because initially I heard a lot of mixed reviews and I was scared it wasn't going to live up to the first 2 for me, because I loved both Wild Love and Wild Eyes. With all of that being said, I'm definitely planning on finishing it today. I cannot wait to finish it. I cannot wait to see where it carries on going. I'm so intrigued to see how their relationship develops, and I know that one thing with Elsie Silver is the tension and the build up is so good. The payoff at the end always hits, so I cannot also wait to read that. I'm literally just having the time of my life. I love Elsie Silver's books so much. I am so excited to next hopefully go on to the Chestnut Spring series. I think I will likely start the Chestnut Spring series before Wild Card comes out, I think in September. If you have read the Chestnut Spring series and also the Rose Hill series, please let me know which one you prefer. I'm just so intrigued. I know a lot of people love Chestnut Spring, so I'm very I don't know how I'm gonna feel about it. I'm scared solely probably because I've never read a cowboy romance before, but I feel like I could be into it. I feel like I could eat it up, and it's Elsie Silver and I'm just adoring her writing. So that being said, I feel like I could talk about and absolutely ramble on about this series forever. I'm gonna finish this today. I am so excited. I will come back with more thoughts soon. Hi guys, I have now finished Wildside by Elsie Silver. I'm not gonna lie, I've already spoken about all of my thoughts in a video that's gone up before this, so if you want to see my full-on thoughts for this book, I did go fairly in depth in my 24-hour readathon, which I will pop here, but just to kind of sum them up quickly for you guys, because obviously I started reading it in this vlog but kind of abandoned this book slightly for here. I really liked it. I feel like I'm speaking about this Elsie Silver series, the Billionaire series, so much recently, but I'm having the time of my life with them this year. I think I'm loving them for so many different reasons. They are such breath of fresh air, just as books in general, but simultaneously in terms of all of the books that I read personally. In between the literary fiction and the classics and the contemporary fiction and the fantasies that I read, obviously I love reading from every genre. I love romance too, but these are such breath of fresh airs and I'm loving them. This one I will say, Wildside, is definitely my least favourite out of the three so far. My current ranking would probably be Wild Eyes, Wild Love and then Wildside, especially with this specific plot. I think because there was so much discussion already surrounding family dynamics and grief, of course, and all of the character arcs were so fascinating. The marriage of convenience only added more tension and only made the stakes even higher. However, I just really liked it. In the end, I did rate it 4 stars. Now tick this off as me being up to date with the series. I am so excited for the next one. Is it Wild Card? I think that comes out in September. I don't think I actually know either who that one is following. I'm kind of happy not knowing currently, but I know I'm probably going to eat it up because I've been loving this series so much. So that is what the second book that I finished for this video. A solid good 4 star. I really enjoyed this one. I would definitely recommend this series. I don't know what book I'm going to go on to next. You're going to find out in about 2 seconds. It will likely be one of the fantasy books because I'm really in the mood to read a fantasy. So let's see what I read next. Hi guys, as you would have seen, I have now decided which book I will be reading next for this video, and that is The Gilded Cage by Lynette Noni. I read The Prison Healer, I want to say in January or February. I read it in a 24-hour readathon. If you want to know all of my thoughts, it was in this video. As much as I was eagerly anticipating carrying on with the series and reading the sequel, I also wasn't really sure how worth it would be. However, I'm only 59 pages of the way through and I'm already enjoying it, and I'm already so intrigued to see where it carries on. I quite enjoyed The Prison Healer. I think I ended up rating it 3.75 stars. It wasn't anything so unique or groundbreaking. It was just a fun read really, but I'm hoping that this one I'm going to prefer. Off the back end of how the first one ended, I was really intrigued to see how the character arcs and specifically Kiva's character was going to develop and where her story was going to go, and I'm already seeing so much intrigue and so much tension, not only with Kiva and obviously the entire plot, but simultaneously with the love interest. I'm so intrigued. Without spoilers, of course, in this one we are definitely already seeing different environments and different atmospheres, and I think it's just such a breath of fresh air and I'm so excited to see where it carries on going. I'm being very careful with the way that I'm describing this, even though I feel like everyone's already read this. I feel like I'm so late to the hype. If you have read this, please let me know what you ended up thinking about it. Slash, when did you read it? Because I feel like I am very late to the hype, let's be real, but I feel like everyone was talking about it in 2023. I remember it being absolutely everywhere on TikTok and everybody raving about it, so I am definitely late to the hype. However, I feel like I'm gonna have a fun time with this. I'm excited to see how this book carries on going. I'm definitely anticipating to like it more than The Prison Healer, so hopefully that will be the case, and I will update you once I get some more thoughts. Good morning guys. I feel like I'm very low in comparison to other cameras, but I just wanted to give an update because I read so much more of The Gilded Cage last night. I haven't yet gotten ready for the day. I'm literally drinking my morning cup of tea and just reading this, so please ignore what I look like, but I'm currently on page 238. As I was reading it last night, I think about 150 pages in, I did a quick update on Goodreads saying how I don't know whether I was bored or maybe I wasn't in the mood for YA fantasy at the minute, or maybe I just hadn't gotten to the bit where I was going to start enjoying it. However, it's definitely started picking up. My interest pace is definitely picking up. I'm gonna be very vague, but a lot is happening with Kiva's family, and it's definitely causing a lot of tension to do with the plot, and specifically also the love interest. I've said it so many times, but I absolutely love a fantasy that has court intrigue or like a royal setting, and this definitely has that, and I think that's also why I'm enjoying it a lot more than the first, I think. I've also heard so many people say that the third book is the best book in the series, and I'm just so intrigued by it. I'm definitely going to carry on the series. There was a minute there where I was like, I don't know if it's worth it. However, I am enjoying it a lot more now. So I'm going to finish my cup of tea for this morning. I'm going to read a little bit more of this now that I've updated you. I might finish this today, I'm not sure. Last night I ended up finishing the Gilded Cage. I wasn't expecting to finish it. I literally sat down, I can't remember exactly how many pages I had left. I think it was just short of 200 pages, and I literally sat down on the sofa after eating dinner and I just read them in their entirety and I finished it. I was gonna say when it first came out, I think it was published in 2021, this book was anyway. I would have liked it even more, but I think if it was published when I was even younger, I was a real fantasy dystopian vibe lover, I would have liked it even more. I feel like now that I've read a good handful of fantasy series, I can see where a book is heading before the actual end happens, and that was exactly the case with this. I would say maybe 2 of the plot twists that weren't massive, but like I kind of had already guessed them, I had already figured them out, and I wouldn't say that that deterred my enjoyment. I mean, I literally read 200 pages sat in one sitting, so I had to be enjoying it. And the actual last chapter and like the last page I didn't see coming, so I'm very intrigued to read the next book and to see how this series and this trilogy kind of finishes off. And due to the way that this ended, I actually have no idea as to what the third book is going to be like, and that excites me. Hopefully I'll be very pleasantly surprised by it. But with all of that being said, there were definitely parts of this that really annoyed me and really ground my gears. One of them definitely being Kiva's, obviously of course as always without spoiling it, just her attitude towards certain things. And I feel like she would do things and make decisions that would completely go against her morals, like the chapter previous, and it just didn't make any sense to me, because when there were consequences for the things that she was telling different people, all the things that she was doing, she was surprised by that, and I was just there like, babe, if you tell someone something, I fear they're going to act on it. That definitely kind of annoyed me. And I think in terms of the romance, I am not reading the series for the romance subplot, because quite frankly I really don't care about the romance. In the first book I definitely saw some tension between them and I was really excited to see the development of their romance, but in this one I just could not care less. Like I actually just don't see their tension now, and I just didn't really get it. I don't know what it is. I also just think that Jaren's character is a little bit bland. Like I would have loved a little character arc for him, more so than just being a prince. Like just give me something a little bit more. I don't know, I don't really care about him, and obviously off the back end of that I don't really care about the romance, which is kind of sad, but I am really intrigued to see how the last book plays out. I will be reading it soon because I'm very eager to see what happens. But for the Gilded Cage, I think I'm going to rate it 3.25 stars. At the very beginning I felt like I was preferring it to the first book, which I think I rated a 3.75. However, for all of the reasons that I've already listed, and mainly just Kiva's character making stupid decisions and then wondering why there's consequences to them, it just kind of really took me down. It really reminded me that it was a YA novel and it read quite young. Of course I love the YA genre, I love the young adult genre, and there are still so many YA fantasies that I really adore, but when this reads a little bit younger, especially in terms of the character arcs and the character analysis, they don't always work for me more in that sense, which I think is why I probably rated it slightly lower than the first one. But like I said, yeah, I'm intrigued to read the third one. I don't know when that's going to be, but hopefully soon. But yeah, those were my thoughts on the Gilded Cage, which is the third book for this video. And then the fourth book, guys, I'm terrified. The book is actually in front of me on my desk, but I can't be bothered to get up and get it. I am reading The Sunrise on the Reaping. I'm terrified. Very recently did a reread of the entire Hunger Games series, and I also filmed a spoiler-filled reading vlog, so I'll link that up above in case you want to give that a watch. Throughout the entirety of that I was talking about how scared I was to read The Sunrise on the Reaping, and that's one of the main reasons I wanted to do the reread in the first place, and now it's time. I'm terrified. I actually started it this morning. I read 36 pages this morning, so I think I'm about like chapter 3, and already I know it's gonna rip my heart out. I'm so fascinated about reading an entire book from his perspective. I think especially because he's one of my favorite characters in that franchise, so I've already established that, and I don't think I've ever had an experience of reading a book from a character's perspective that I've already established I've loved, and I feel like that's going to be a really fascinating experience, really heartbreaking but also really exciting in many ways. In the 36 pages that I read this morning, the reaping, I was not expecting it to go down like that, and it actually gagged me. I'm so intrigued to see how they translate that to the movie. I don't know, I'm very excited about reading this. Obviously I've been waiting for this book for like 10 years, but I'm simultaneously so terrified, as I will continue to say, so I'm gonna read some more of Sunrise on the Reaping. That is going to be the last book that I read in this video, and yeah, I'm excited to read a little bit more, so I will update you once I have some more thoughts. few days later now. I have been reading Sunrise on the Reaping like crazy. I've been listening to the audiobook on Audible and I'm really enjoying it. When I recently reread the entire Hunger Games series, I kind of did flick in between the physical copies and the audiobooks. I really liked the audiobooks and it was my first experience listening to them, so I kind of wanted to do the same with this and I'm loving it. Obviously very often audiobooks definitely can make a story feel even more immersive, and with this one it definitely is. I'm flying through the audiobook and I am on page 218, so I thought it was time I gave you an update. We haven't seen much of the games just yet. This is definitely going to follow the next half of the book, but I adore so much in this entire franchise how much Suzanne Collins really focuses on the beforehand, before the games, and like the inner workings of the capital. And especially in this one, I am loving so much seeing so many characters that we love so dearly in the original trilogy and their entire dynamics and their relationships to one another and how they learn to meet one another. I think it's astounding. I just adore a series when it's so clear that so much thought and care has gone behind the stories and the characters, and this is just astonishing for that. Seeing Haymitch as a young man too, and all of his beliefs and all of his morals, especially in comparison to the original trilogy, it is so evident how he ends up getting to that point, and it is really moving, and I just adore his character so much, and I already knew that I would love it for that, but it's just so beautiful. It is also perfectly thought out and I'm really adoring seeing his development. And I have seen so many people compare this to Catching Fire specifically. There is definitely a big part of this book that feels like Catching Fire, I think, especially when it comes to the tributes and their dynamics with one another and their innate hatred and also capability and just not wanting to kill one another. That, like in Catching Fire, is so prevalent in this, and guys, I'm just adoring it so much and I'm so happy that I am, because I was scared because it's one of my most anticipated books of the year. But yeah, like I said, the games are only really starting to begin and I'm really intrigued to see how that is going to develop. I think especially since doing my reread of the Hunger Games and definitely having that reminder of Haymitch's games and the ways that he wins and how he wins and all of the characters that die, it is so bittersweet because I also know what is coming, but I'm really intrigued to see how it is from his perspective and everyone else's point of view. And the whole time that I'm reading this to you, I'm trying to visualize how it's going to look as a movie. I have every hope and every faith in these directors because there has never been a flop for the Hunger Games movies. In my opinion, I love all of them and I'm so excited to see this be adapted. I know it's going to be incredible, but yeah, like I said, I feel like I needed to give you an update because I'm about halfway through, if not just over halfway, and with the rate that I've been listening to the audiobook, I can see that I'm literally about to get to part 3. I knew that I'm probably going to binge read it today, so I'm probably going to finish this today. I'm really adoring it. There is something about reading from the perspective of a character you have already established to absolutely love, especially when it was a book or a series that you read as a teenager and you grew up on it. Finally having a piece of writing and a piece of work that is dedicated solely from his perspective is so astounding and so moving, and yeah, I'm really intrigued to see how it's going to end. I'm going to read a little bit more of this / listen to a little bit more of this now, and I will give you an update once I have one. Hi guys, I'm a lot further through now and I thought again I was due an update. I'm now on page 357. I literally, look at how much I have left. This is already destroying me. I literally feel, oh my god, why am I actually gonna cry? I'm in the middle of chapter 26. I have been listening to the audiobook this morning, but it says I have 20 minutes left, so I'm gonna kind of tandem read with the audiobook and the physical copy for the end of the book. What has just happened in the entire time that I haven't updated you, but especially in this chapter, like, oh my god, my eyes are watering. I understand why so many people cry at this book. It's so sad. It starts making so much sense as to why Haymitch is the way that he is in the original trilogy, and it just breaks my heart so much, and I'm actually dreading seeing this as a movie because it's gonna tear me apart. And I know that a lot of people do cry at the ending and especially the epilogue, who knows why, so I'm gonna sit here and read it. I'm scared to finish it. What the fuck? Why am I gonna cry? What the fuck? Why? I can't believe it's over. I can't believe I finished it. I completely understand why so many people cry at that ending and at that epilogue. I don't even know what to, like, I don't even know what to think. I have no idea what to even rate it. I'm heartbroken at that ending. I did have a sneaky suspicion about what the epilogue could entail and what it could include, and I wasn't wrong, but it hit me harder than I thought it would. I love this series so much, and this book specifically adds so much insight, obviously, into Haymitch's character and how we see him become the man that he does in all of his losses and his trauma from the games. It is utterly heartbreaking, but it is still so imperative, and it was so beautiful in so many ways. Suzanne Collins, and the way that she just writes this franchise in general, is so astounding and so moving and so imperative, and this one was no different. I love this so much, and I honestly do think it lived up to every single expectation I had for it, which is kind of hard considering, like, this book I'd been waiting since I was what, like 12? 13 to read, because I always wanted to read Haymitch's Game. The fact that it lives up to that expectation that I've had for so many years, I'm so happy. I adored so much seeing all of the tributes in this book. Obviously there are double the tributes as normal because it is the 50th Hunger Games, which is a quarter quell, and I think obviously naturally that just added double the heartbreak because there were so many characters in this that we knew weren't going to survive, because we were so aware that obviously Haymitch wins. And that being another point, we obviously knew the ending of this book, and I think it is such a credit to Suzanne Collins and her craft that she can make us care so much and feel so invested even though we know exactly what is going to happen. I love this so much. I don't know if it quite feels like a 5-star. I feel like I need to properly sit on the rating of this book, but currently whilst I'm here I'm gonna rate it a 4.5 stars. That very well could end up changing. It could end up being a 5-star. I obviously do my monthly wrap-ups every month, so you can see in that at the end of May, I suppose, to see if it changes. But yeah, right now definitely a good 4.5. I loved this so much. I love this so much. Oh my god, I'm gonna be thinking about it for such a long time. But yeah, with that ends this vlog of me reading, or trying rather, to finish every series that I'm currently in the middle of. This vlog was so fun. I definitely want to make this a series, and if you guys enjoyed it then I'll definitely feel more inclined to film another one. As always, if you have read any of the books that I also read in this video, please let me know what you thought about them, whether you like them or you dislike them, if you agree with any of my thoughts. Also, if you do count them and you do track, please let me know how many book series you are in the middle of, or simultaneously if you have any recommendations for any sort of book series that you think I might like, please let me know. Or if you watch until the very end of the video and you don't know what to comment any sun or snake emoji for this book, because oh my god, this was the star of the show, I fear. But yeah guys, thank you so much as always for being here and for spending some time with me. I really do hope you enjoyed, and I will see you again very soon with another video.